Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by RFA Welterweight Brandon Thatch. Brandon, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Brandon, you got a fight coming up March 22nd at RFA 7. How's training been going for the fight?
Training's been awesome, man. I had a great camp out in Canada with TriStar, and I've been back the last few days with my training partners at Grudge, and getting back in the swing of things in here in Colorado and just seeing the climate. So things are well.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, why did you decide to go up to TriStar to train?
I had been asked by George St. Pierre to come up there and help him for his upcoming fight against Diaz. Mm-hmm. So I figured I might as well go out there and help George and get my camp in there as well.
I see. And now, Brandon, you're coming off of a long layoff. I would say, it'll be 9 months when fight night is, just about 9 months. So it's been a little bit of a while since we've seen you in action. What has caused this layoff? Why has it been since June of 2012 we've seen you fight?
I had a few fights fall through. I had a couple opponents back out, and things just didn't kind of fall into play. And I've I was training for a while, and I've been training, waiting for these fights, and I kind of got burnt out. So I took a few weeks to kind of get back to back hungry and ready to train hard. And around that same time is when George had invited me out to come help him train, and so the tumblers kind of fell into place, and I've been training ever since.
Mm-hmm. How long were you up there?
I was out there for about 6 weeks.
Oh, so pretty good amount of time. Where exactly did you stay up there? Did you room with someone? Did you stay in a hotel? How does that exactly work?
There's a hotel called Ruby Foods right by TriStar Gym, so it's literally a half a block away. So I was walking their practice every day.
I see. And now you're going to be fighting Leandro Silva. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
He's a tough guy. He's looks like a strong opponent. He throws hard, and from what I've seen on film, he comes to fight. So it has all the makings of a good fight and some fireworks for the fans. And I feel like every time I fight, it's going to be somebody that's going to push me and show the best of me. So every fight up to date is going to be my hardest fight. So I'm looking forward to fighting him and having a tough opponent that'll make me work and make me show the skills that I have.
Mm-hmm. In this fight, where do you feel you have the biggest advantage? Is it your height? You're 6'2", a pretty big welterweight. He's only about 5'10". Is it your height, or is it the high altitude being used to, because you live in Colorado and this fight's going to be in Colorado? What exactly do you feel is your biggest advantage?
I always have a little bit of a height. Well, that's not true. I've fought Chitty and D1, and they're both pretty much my same build. But my height is definitely an advantage with Leandro. But at the same time, I haven't really been in Colorado. I've been in Canada, so the mile high, I think, isn't exactly an advantage for me. I think my reach is definitely going to give him some problems, and he's a tough dude, so I got to kind of watch myself and play it like he's coming in as my equal. So I want to stay sharp and not really have an advantage in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I see. And 9 months is not a long layoff, but it's a little bit longer than some guys on the regional circuit are fighting. A little bit of a longer gap in between. Is ring rust? Is that anything to be concerned about?
No, I've been training with some of the best in the world. I got George, who is my sparring partner every week. We spar 3 times a week. I had Francis come on. I had my buddy Nardine out there. I had Ryan Ford. I had all the Tom Breeze, who's a British famine champion out there, who I was training with at daily. So if I'm training with the best in the world, I don't feel like ring rush should be a problem. And come fight night, I'm pretty good about keeping my butterflies flying information and making them work for me. So the mental ring rust and that sort of thing doesn't really affect me as much as other fighters. I'm not going to say it doesn't affect me at all, but I don't see it bugging me too much.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did this fight with RFA come together? Is it because you're a Colorado guy and they're promoting a show in Colorado, or is it the relationship that they formed with Ring of Fire, that because you fought for Ring of Fire before? How did it come together?
Sundin has been working for me for a long time, and their relationship didn't hurt, and I've kind of been a free agent since Instinct, so I feel like like I said, the tumblers are kind of just falling into place for me, and I just make sure that I do what I need to in the gym and training, and the outcome usually handles itself. And I'm excited to kind of work with the RFA and the production that they have and all the connections they have. I don't see it just kind of fell into place, and Boogie being a part of the RFA didn't hurt for sure.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned earlier, this fight is going to be taking place in Colorado. How excited are you to be back fighting in Colorado, and how much of a bonus is it for you to be making your return on a pretty big card?
The card itself is amazing. Not my fight, not just my fight, but every fight on there is pretty exciting, and there's some stellar athletes, so that's exciting in itself. But to be able to fight at home in front of my crowd, my fans, my family, and my friends is a bonus. It's motivating to be able to come and have the love and the support that I have from the Rutgers Army. So anytime I fight at home, I definitely feel like I have an advantage and the level up. When I go to the First Bank Center and I feel the crowd energy, it's there's no other feeling like it to have that much support.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure the entire arena will be cheering for you, but how many people have you invited? How many people do you know for a fact will be cheering for you?
Me and Vinny Lopez are super close. We have some of the same family and friends and whatnot. So not only his friends, but my friends. I have a lot of people from my gym, the place that I train, I teach. So my personal fans, last time I fought in Colorado, I sold about 300 tickets personally. So there's going to be a lot of family and friends and people that I know that are coming to show some love.
Mm-hmm. Now you're going to be fighting in the main event. Is that something that's important to you, or does it really not matter to you that much where you fight on the card?
You mentioned me kind of being off, for a while, and just being able to fight is exciting in itself. So the main events is just kind of icing on the cake. I've been off for a while, and I've had a lot of fights fall through. So I'm just excited to fight, get in there, and to be a main event is just an added bonus.
Mm-hmm. Now you keep saying you're excited for this fight. Is it excitement, or is it being a little bit anxious for this fight to get here? Can March 22nd get here quick enough?
No, I'm definitely anxious. Anytime you're hurry up and waiting that's probably the worst part of the fight game is just waiting for the day to come. You're cutting weight, you're constantly on edge, thinking about your opponent. It's a mental game just as much as it is a physical game, and the mind games that we play as fighters is just as tough as stepping in. Like it's a crazy mind battle.
Mm-hmm. Now, just looking at your record, this isn't really the longest gap you've had in between fights. Your fight with Danny Davis Jr. was a year and a little bit more in between the last fight that you had before that. That was the fight you had before that was in January of 2009. So it's not the longest gap in your career, but does it compare at all to a longer layoff that you had before?
No, not at all. That layoff was due to an injury that had occurred, and it was a long road back to where I had even felt comfortable getting punched at, let alone stepping into the fight. So, that layoff was something totally different and a lot more intense. So this was just kind of a little bit of a layoff. That one was pretty intense, and that was some of the darkest, one of the darkest points of my career.
I see. And now, Brandon, looking at your fight record, you have a ton of first-round finishes. All your wins have come in the first round, and the unique part about your record is so many of these finishes are under 20 seconds. You have 2 18 seconds, a 19-second, a 15-second, just so many quick finishes in here. It's just amazing. You don't really see that many fights on one person's record go that fast. Now, when you're in there fighting, I'm just curious. When you're in there fighting these fights, do they feel like very quick fights, or when you're done with these fights, do they feel like, whoa, I was only in there for 18 seconds? It felt a lot longer. How does it feel when you get a quick finish?
When those fast finishes come, they're definitely fast. And I don't want to say like I'm looking to end them in under 20 seconds or anything like that. But if it comes, it comes, and I'll take them. But at the same time, sometimes you get done with those fights and you feel like a race car that's been driven to 30 really fast, and then you have to pump the brakes. And I'm excited to kind of take the race car and see how fast I can go. You know, so if this guy gives me trouble and it goes through rounds, it goes through rounds, and if it happens in under 20 seconds, then I'll take it. You know, I'm gonna let it happen the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. So when you're going through these fights, that's not something that plays in your mind, hey, I need to get it over as quickly as possible. It's just how it's happened to play out.
No, that's just, you know, if I see an opening or I see blood, I'm gonna come. I come to finish fights, and you know, I'm not there to kind of squeak through it. If I feel like I can finish, I'm gonna finish. You know, so I'm gonna see that opening and take it, and if it doesn't come, then I take my time and let it happen.
Mm-hmm. You have one loss in your MMA career way back in September of 2008. What did you learn from that fight?
You know, that fight, you know, my loss was, you know, it was an eye-opener for as far as, like, being a complete MMA fighter. You know, then I was more of a kickboxer, and I hadn't, you know, really been stressed the importance of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and you know, I kind of, it was just, I don't know if you've seen it, it was just a sloppy wrestling match. Like, he would take me down, he'd hold on to me, I'd get back to guard, and then he'd hold on to me, and he was scared. I wouldn't say he was scared, you know, I don't want to say that or anything like that, but, you know, it didn't seem like he wanted to stand with me, and even on the ground, he didn't really do much, you know, he laid on me and held me, but at the same time, I couldn't get to my feet, and I kept getting taken down, but, you know, it was just an eye-opening experience and an introduction to MMA, not just kickboxing. I feel like now I'm a more complete mixed martial artist, not just a striker.
Mm-hmm. You learned a lot from that loss, and the old saying is you learn more from your losses than you do from your wins, but you haven't had that many losses, you know, just the one in your pro career. What did you learn from your wins? And anything, you know, that you can point to and say, hey, you know, I like this loss, you pointed to an area where you needed to work on. Is there anything in your wins that you pointed to and said, hey, I need to work on this even though I won?
You know, I've been pretty good at you know, I haven't really made too many mistakes. I'm not saying I'm perfect in any of my fights or anything like that, but at the same time, you know, I've been very happy with the way things have gone for the most part in my career. So, you know, I haven't really had anything too crazy happen or any mistakes that I've really thought that I have made. And, you know, my coaching staff, you know, Trevor Whitman, Lisa Bowling, and you know, Faraz Zahabi at TriStar, those are all, you know, I leave kind of my training and what I need to do and what I need to think about in their hands, and you know, I trust them completely, and you know, what they say, I do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Right now in MMA, there aren't that many martial artists. There's a lot of good fighters out there, but not a lot of them come from a martial arts background or live the kind of martial arts lifestyle, the bowing to their opponent, showing a lot of respect to their opponent and to everyone around them. There's not a whole lot of martial artists in mixed martial arts right now. Do you feel that's important to be a good mixed martial artist, is to have, you know, some sort of you know, martial arts background?
You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's still a sport. You know, I consider myself a good sport as far as, you know, like bowing, giving respect to not only my opponent but the refs, my fans, everybody who's involved in the sport, and you know, from everything from I don't know. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna hit somebody after they're completely out. If I know someone's done, I'm gonna stop, or you know, because that's when the injuries and stuff happen. And hopefully, when my time comes that I'm unconscious, somebody knows not to jack me up. You know, I'm not gonna be that guy that stands over my opponent while he's jacked up and kind of act a fool. I'm gonna go to the other end of the ring, and I'm gonna take a knee. You know, let the doctors check them out. Once they're okay, then I'm gonna get up and celebrate. But until then, you know, I want to keep it as much of a sport and not so much of a slugfest or, you know, these brawlers. You know, I'm more of a respectful person, and I get it from my father, Clarence Thatch, and I want to treat it as much as a respectful sport. And I want it to be respected, and if I can conduct myself like that, then that's how I'm going to go. And you know, if the sport's going to always have their bad boys and the guys that are going to act a fool and those people that people want to see get beat up or whatever, but you know, everyone's going to take their own angle, and I choose to keep it classy and conduct myself as if my mother's watching, you know.
Mm-hmm. So when you go into these fights, you're just there purely for the competition. You're not there looking for blood.
No, I mean, there's definitely a underlying tone of violence in the sport. I mean, it's a violent sport. It's a contact sport. it is what it is.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I'm gonna finish. You know, if that means making my opponent bleed, then so be it. You know, I'll make sure that I take the steps to ensure victory. But at the same time, I'm not gonna go that extra blow unless, you know, if we got beef and somebody wants to make things personal, then yeah, you know, I'll clean you up and make sure it's embarrassing for you. But until then, I conduct myself respectful, and you know, I want to keep it as classy as possible.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, how did you get your nickname, Ruckus?
Ruckus, it was given to me from a friend of mine in the gym, and I think I was about I want to say like 18 or 19, and I was training hard, and I was actually putting it on some of the boys in the gym, and they were like, "Man, you're bringing the ruckus. I'm gonna call you B Ruckus," and it kind of stuck.
I see. And now, one of your sponsors, Ruckus Apparel, is that your clothing line, or is it just a coincidence that you have that sponsor and your nickname is Ruckus?
You know, it was a few years ago, and it was pretty coincidence that their name was Ruckus, and it was at one of the amateur fights. And, you know, it's with my buddy Josh Schmidt, and I came by the booth, and I was like, yeah, you know, my fight name's Ruckus, you know, I fight. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's cool, you know. And then I was like, no, listen, and I showed him on his computer some of my fights, and he was pumped up to see someone represent so well. So we kind of tied together, and he's been very good to me as far as, you know, supporting me, promoting me, and he's a local guy from Colorado, so... And I mean, the gear is awesome. So if you take a check and you check it out, you can go to ruckusapparel.com and look at some of their stuff, and it sells itself. You know, it's cool stuff. It represents me well. It represents Colorado well. So, you know, I kind of jumped on and have been with them ever since.
Mm-hmm. I see. And now, Brandon, is visualization a key part of your training? And if so, how have you envisioned this fight, Leandro Silva, ending?
You know what, man? Visualization is a big part in the entire aspect of MMA. You know, whether it's you getting up with a positive mindset on how your day is going to go and how your training is going to go. You know, if you think about, you know, if you think it's going to be tough, it's going to be tough. If you go into it, you know, like it's going to be tough, but at the same time, I'm going to handle it. You're going to handle it. You know, so I go in and I picture everything from me walking down the crowd and the people in the crowd to, you know, touching gloves, to my hands up in the fight, to my hand raised at the end of the fight, you know. Mm-hmm. So those are all visualizations that I do. But as far as the fight goes, he's a tough dude. He's aggressive. He comes out real hard and swings hard, you know. And I think it's a recipe for me to kind of showcase my technical striking, and you know, the outcome's going to handle itself. We'll leave my predictions for the fight. I'll just let you guys come and check it out for yourself. But I'll tell you what. Don't blink, because it's going to be intense.
Mm-hmm. And one final thing, is this a multiple fight deal with RFA, or is this just a one-off?
You know what, I'm not too sure. I've talked to my manager saying, and the options are all there, but you know, right now I'm focused on this one fight, and you know, if I have an impressive showing, then I'm sure the interest will be there for them to keep me. But as of now, I don't think there's a multiple contract.
Mm-hmm. I see. And now, Brandon, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
You know what? As far as the fans go, I fight for you guys. You know, without you, I wouldn't be doing this, and it's an honor to be fighting in Colorado in the 303 again. So make sure you guys come out and support. And shout out to Max Muscle Sports Nutrition with Billy Van Heusen. He's been with me since day one. Ruckus Apparel has been with me for a long time. They've shown a ton of support. And you know, anyone else that's in the game that I've missed, Grudge Training Center, Trevor Whitman's, Raza Hobby with TriStar, and all my training partners that have helped me get there. Big shout out.
Brandon, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck March 22nd at RFA 7 against Leandro Silva.